It is a well-established fundamental pillar of society, and no group, be they gays, be they NAMBLA, be they people who believe in bestiality, it doesn't matter what they are, they don't get to change the definition. Close quote. And joining me now is Dr. Ben Carson, Director of Pediatric Neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital and a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President George W. Bush. Thanks very much for joining us. I wanted to talk to you about, first of all, why you have ventured into politics, and then about your views on same-sex marriage.
Yeah, well, first of all, they are my views that should be mentioned. They're not the views of the institution. You know, if someone goes back and examines what I've been talking about and writing about over the last couple of decades, it's the same things that I'm talking about now. It's just that now more people are paying attention to them. And, you know, I think, you know, in terms of what was said on Sean Hannity's show, that was taken completely out of context and completely misunderstood in terms of what I was trying to say. You know, as a Christian, you know, I have a duty to love all people, and that includes people who have other sexual orientations, and I certainly do, and never had any intention of offending anyone. What I was basically saying, and if anybody was offended, I apologize to you, but what I was basically saying is that there is no group. I wasn't equating those things. I don't think they're equal. Just, you know, if you asked me for an apple and I gave you an orange, you would say, well, that's not an orange. And then I say, well, there's a banana. That's not an apple either. And there's a peach. That's not an apple either. But it doesn't mean that I'm equating the banana and the orange and the peach. And in the same way, I'm not equating those things. My point was that once we start changing the definitions, then where do we stop? You know, we can go with anything. And I certainly don't have any problem with people who are gay having legal arrangements. In fact, any two adults, gay, straight, whatever, certainly they can have legal arrangements so that they can share property and have inheritance rights and visitation rights. You know, that's a kind thing to do. They should be treated just as anyone else. But being treated just as anyone else, no one else gets to change the definitions of standard, you know, societal pillars. So why should anybody have that right?
With all due respect, Dr. Carson, you say that you were not equating, and you're talking about apples, oranges, peaches, but when you say that the well-established pillar of society, no group, be they gays, be they NAMBLA, which is the Society for Man-Boy Love, which we're talking about pedophilia, so we're talking about something that is illegal, be they people who believe in bestiality, you are, in the same sentence, equating same-sex marriage with things that are illegal.
Well, as I said, I just explained what my intention was, and as if that is the way that people are taking it, that was certainly not the intention. And
when you,
you know,
when you say that you believe
but
as a Christian in legal arrangements for people of the same gender, it has been made very clear in the Supreme Court arguments this week that there are 1,100 federal statutes which apply only to people who are married, so that people of the same gender can have their civil unions, that they can have legal arrangements, but they do not have the same tax advantages, Social Security benefits, 1,100 tangible benefits that are available only to people who are legally married.
Well, again, I feel that any two adults, be they gay, straight, whatever, should have the right to make legal arrangements so that they can transfer property and have those rights. They certainly have the freedom of association. You know, when did we stop allowing people freedom of association?
Well, frankly, under laws as recently as several decades ago, interracial marriage was forbidden until the Loving ruling from the Supreme Court. So there have been plenty of laws and state laws and federal laws against all sorts of cohabitation in the past. What gay people are talking about is having the full benefit of federal laws that are available to all people.
My impression is that my impression is what's being asked for is the conveyance of the title marriage, which is an institution that was established by God. And, I'm not sure that that is the same thing. Everybody has right of association, and if we don't give them the right to transfer property and to have, visitation, etc., then we really should be examining that.
You have ventured into politics in a way that is unusual for someone with your background. I have interviewed you in the past. I have personal knowledge of the amazing medical achievements that you have had and the courageous decisions that you've made in several individual cases. But why at this point go into politics?
Well, I don't necessarily think that I am going into politics. Everybody kind of assumes that if you have a voice and you speak out, particularly against some things that you think perhaps are moving in the wrong direction, that you're going into politics and that your goal is to become a political figure. My goal is to help move our country in the right direction. My goal is to get people to be able to have discussions about things about which they disagree in a civil way, not call each other names and get into all kinds of infantile type of discussions. We don't need to do that. We have so many pressing problems in our country, and at some point we're going to have to tone down the rhetoric and just move towards solutions to the multitudinous problems, or we're going to go right down the tubes, just like every other pinnacle nation that has preceded us, that has done many of the same things that we're doing. We need to talk about these things, not make them taboo.
But Dr. Carson, in your book, America the Beautiful, you say, when you talk about toning down the rhetoric, I have no problem whatsoever with allowing gay people to live as they please, as long as they don't try to impose their lifestyle on everyone else. Marriage is a very sacred institution and should not be degraded by allowing every other type of relationship to be made equivalent to it. So aren't you yourself getting into a rhetorical argument which demeans millions of people who have loving relationships of the same gender?
I don't think so, because marriage is a very sacred thing, and we need to maintain it as a sacred thing. And when I say we don't want to change it or degrade it by calling everything marriage, that's not aimed at any particular group, but the fact of the matter is the Bible and God have set very specific standards. It's very clear what's being said. God doesn't change, man changes. But, our duty is to allow for that change and to still love them. And in terms of what happens with them, that's a decision that's up to God. That is not our decision.
Dr. Carson, there are faculty members at Johns Hopkins, where you are a celebrated surgeon, and now students who are petitioning against your comments on gay marriage, some who do not believe you should be the commencement speaker as planned. What do you have to say to them? Are you prepared to withdraw as commencement speaker?
Absolutely. I would say that, this is their day, and the last thing I would want to do is rain on their parade.
So have you told the university that you will not be delivering the commencement address?
I am waiting for appropriate channels. I don't think that television is the appropriate channel.
Understood. Thank you very much, Dr. Ben Carson. Thank you for being with us today.